In the shadowy corridors of heavy metal history, one name has always evoked both admiration and outrage: Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness. More than just a pioneering vocalist who co-founded Black Sabbath and helped give birth to heavy metal, Ozzy was a constant source of controversy. His outrageous behavior and unapologetic style earned him both legendary status and a long list of enemies.
They always say things that I later regret, you know, like people say to me, is there going to be a reformation of the original Black Sabbath? I go,
welcome to another explosive episode of Music Rivalry Exposed. Today, we dive into the stormy world of Ozzy Osbourne and uncover 6 musicians who reportedly despised the Madman of Metal. Known for anthems like Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley, the Birmingham native built a career on unpredictability, often clashing with fellow artists. As Ozzy once told Kerrang! Magazine, "I'm not a rock star, I'm a rock and roll star." And there's a difference. That difference sparked feuds that reshaped the heavy metal landscape. From backstage brawls to cutting remarks in the press, these rivalries expose deeper debates about authenticity, showmanship, and what metal should stand for. Some battles played out under the spotlight, others behind closed doors, but all left scars that remain to this day. Buckle up, because we're counting down 6 bitter rivalries that made Ozzy's life hell. 6. Ronnie James Dio. At number 6 is a feud that shocked metal purists. Ronnie James Dio, the iconic voice of Rainbow and Heaven and Hell. Tensions erupted when Dio replaced Ozzy in Black Sabbath in 1979. According to music journalist Malcolm Dome, Dio often dismissed Ozzy as a clown who stumbled into greatness, arguing that his stage antics overshadowed the true essence of heavy metal. While Dio focused on technical vocal brilliance and mythical storytelling, he saw Ozzy's success as built on shock value and controversy.
With the direction that the music was going in, we started the band with a concept in mind, and that concept got lost along the way.
In a 1983 German magazine interview, Dio remarked, "There's entertainers and there's musicians. Some people confuse the two." Industry insiders were convinced those words targeted Ozzy. The animosity peaked in the 1980s metal scene. At a 1985 meet and greet, witnesses claimed Dio refused to acknowledge Ozzy, muttering about real metal versus cartoon metal. Even later in his career, Dio reiterated that certain performers had turned heavy metal into a circus act. 5. Phil Anselmo. Number 5 brings us to Phil Anselmo, the fiery frontman of Pantera.
Are you talking to me? No way, you fucking pumpkin!
Anselmo allegedly viewed Ozzy as an outdated relic from metal's embarrassing past. The conflict surfaced in the early 1990s, when Pantera was redefining metal with their groove sound, while Ozzy's creative output was often labeled as stagnant. According to journalist Jeff Barton, Anselmo once referred to Ozzy as a has-been riding on decades-old glory. What angered Anselmo was Ozzy's continued dominance despite Pantera's efforts to revolutionize the genre.
Extremely laid-back, mellow, yet semi-popular Black Sabbath song.
In a 1996 Revolver interview, he declared, "Metal needs to evolve or it dies. Some people are content living in the past." The feud turned ugly backstage at a 1995 festival when Anselmo reportedly said aloud, "I don't shake hands with people who've turned metal into a joke." Even after Ozzy's farewell tours, Anselmo's tone stayed dismissive, describing him as simply a performer from a different era. 4. Bruce Dickinson. At number 4, we find Bruce Dickinson, the powerful, operatic voice of Iron Maiden. Dickinson is said to have carried a long-standing resentment toward Ozzy Osbourne, one that stretched back to their heated rivalry in the early 1980s. According to Kerrang! Founder Jeff Barton, Dickinson once quipped to journalists that Ozzy was more P.T. Barnum than Robert Plant, implying that his fame was built more on theatrics and spectacle than on pure musical artistry. For Dickinson, Iron Maiden represented complexity, sophistication, and carefully constructed storytelling. Ozzy, by contrast, was seen as leaning heavily on shock tactics, outrageous stage antics, and his notorious unpredictability. The criticism became sharper in interviews. In a 1983 German radio appearance, Dickinson stated, "Real metal doesn't need gimmicks. It should stand on musical merit, not how many dead animals you can mutilate on stage." While he never never named Ozzy directly, industry insiders and fans alike understood exactly who he meant. The rivalry also played out offstage. Throughout the mid-1980s, both bands often crossed paths on the international touring circuit. Behind the scenes, Dickinson allegedly dismissed Ozzy as a circus act dressed in leather, telling close associates that associating with him risked diminishing Iron Maiden's credibility as serious musicians. At a 1984 industry party, he reportedly turned down a photographer's request to pose with Ozzy, remarking, "Some associations damage your credibility as a serious musician." 3. Dave Mustaine, Megadeth's outspoken and fiery frontman. Their feud reportedly began after a bitter rejection in the mid-1980s. At the time, Mustaine was eager to elevate Megadeth's status and sought either a collaboration or a tour slot with Ozzy, but his request was swiftly dismissed by Ozzy's management. For Mustaine, this felt like a personal insult that would linger for years. According to former Megadeth roadies, Mustaine believed Ozzy had no respect for thrash metal, seeing it as just angry kids making angry noise. That perception was reinforced by a 1987 comment attributed to Ozzy, where he asked, "Where's the melody? Where's the soul?" Though Ozzy never singled him out, Mustaine took the words as a direct attack on his music, which only intensified his anger. The tension escalated further in the 1990s with the rise of Ozzfest. Despite Megadeth's growing popularity, they were conspicuously absent from the early lineups. Mustaine accused Ozzy's camp of playing politics, telling Metal Hammer that dinosaurs were deliberately blocking fresh, innovative bands from the spotlight. By the late 1990s, the feud boiled over in public. At a 1998 Industry Awards show, Mustaine openly snubbed Ozzy during introductions, turning away and muttering, "Respect is earned, not inherited." Second on the list is Blackie Lawless, the theatrical mastermind behind WASP. Who reportedly viewed Ozzy Osbourne as a pale imitation of true shock rock. Their feud took root in the early 1980s, when both artists were locked in competition for the crown of the most outrageous performer in heavy metal. According to Circus Magazine editor Catherine Turman, Lawless often dismissed Ozzy as a one-trick pony who got lucky with a bat. While WASP built their reputation on carefully designed horror-inspired stage productions with blood, props, and elaborate storytelling, Lawless believed Ozzy's performances were sloppy and leaned too heavily on shock value and accidents rather than artistry. In a 1985 interview with a French metal magazine, Lawless sharpened his critique. There's art in chaos, and then there's just chaos. Some people mistake accidents for artistry. Though he didn't name Ozzy directly, fans and industry insiders knew exactly who he was pointing to. 1. Tony Iommi. The most shocking feud of all is with Tony Iommi, Black Sabbath's guitarist and Ozzy's former bandmate. Despite their shared history, tensions ran deeper than any professional rivalry. In the late 1970s, Ozzy's drug abuse strained the band. Former Sabbath manager Patrick Meehan Jr. recalled Iommi saying Ozzy had become a liability masquerading as a frontman.
I mean, Ozzy was at school in a younger year than me. With me, but I didn't really associate with him at school.
The betrayal was personal. Iommi believed Ozzy abandoned their shared artistic vision for cheap theatrics. Even during later reunions, the bitterness lingered. At their 1997 rehearsal, witnesses claimed Iommi barely spoke to Ozzy, treating him as just a hired vocalist. At the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, Iommi's speech notably excluded Ozzy, focusing only on the band's legacy, a final public slight. And there you have it. 6 shocking feuds that prove even the Prince of Darkness couldn't win everyone over. Which rivalry shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe for more untold stories from the world of rock and metal legends.